Hello everyone, this is Deepak Poornachandra, Senior Technical Product Manager at BMC Software. Today I'm going to walk you through BMC TrueSight Pulse integration with Microsoft Azure. One of the prerequisites for the integration of Pulse with Azure is that we need to make sure that you have the global administrator role for performing these tasks on the Azure account. If you do not, please request your admin for access. Now, the next step is to obtain the client ID, client secret, and the tenant ID. And this is important for the integration with Pulse. So to get the client ID, the secret, and tenant ID, please click on Active Directory, select the default directory. Let's go to Applications. This was the application that was just created called Pulse Azure. Now let's select that application and click on Configure. Now from the Configure section, we need to select Access Web APIs and other applications. So the first thing that we need to do is let's copy the ID from the Update Your Code with your Client ID field. Now we have copied the client ID. The next step is to create a key. Let's go to the Keys section. The duration, we can have that as a 1 year. Now remember, the key value will only be displayed after we save this configuration. So let's leave that for now. The next section is to ensure that the permissions to the application through the Windows Azure Active Directory. So let's go to the permissions to other applications section. For the application permissions, we will have the following checked: read and write devices, read and write directory data, read and write domains, and read directory data. And on the delegated permissions drop-down list, we will select read all users basic profiles, read all users full profiles, read all groups, read and write all groups, read and write directory data, and read directory data. Add application, and let's select Windows Azure Service Management API, and this is selected. Hit complete. And for the Windows Azure Service Management API, we will only be providing the delegated permissions. And we select Access Azure Service Management as organization. Okay, and there is no need for any application permissions for this API. Let's save. It's saved. Like I mentioned before, please make sure that you copy the keys, and the key was only visible after you saved this configuration. Our next step is to get the tenant ID, and let's click on View Endpoints at the bottom of the screen. Now it provides us with all the application endpoints that we see here. Let's just copy one of them, and as you can see, the tenant ID is integrated into the entire URL. So the first thing is we'll copy this whole URL. You can select any one of these, and the tenant ID happens to be the same for all of these URLs because the endpoint is the same, right? So let's copy this tenant ID. Tenant ID starts with the letter E, and it is here until the number 2. So this is the tenant ID. Now we have finished step 2. We have the client ID, the tenant ID, and the key. The next step is to add the owners for the application. Click on the Active Directory. It's going to bring you to the application. When you select the application, click on Owners. There are no owners right now for this application because it was just created. Let's go ahead and add some. As you can see, this is the owner name that's associated with the account, and you would be able to see a similar one for your account. So that has been selected. Let's hit complete. And the owner has been successfully added. The next step is to associate the required roles for the application. Now coming back to associating the required roles for the application, let's click on More Services, and we are looking for subscriptions. From the subscriptions page, please click on your subscription ID. And since I'm running a free trial, that's what it says as the name here. Let's go to Access Control IAM. We have subscription admins, but our goal is to associate the roles for the application Pulse Azure that I just created at the beginning of the video. So let's click on Add, select a role. In our case, we'll have owner as the role. And there is a user, that is your user account, but let's look for our application. And there it is, Pulse Azure. Let's search for it, and here it is. Select that, and we select, and OK. And Pulse Azure was added as the owner. OK. Now the next step is to ensure that we provide Pulse Azure more access as a reader, a classic storage account contributor, and storage account contributor. The role of owner has already been assigned. Now let's assign more roles. Click on Add. Select Pulse Azure, select a role. And this time we'll select reader. And we will search for Pulse Azure as the application. Hit select. Okay. As you can see, a new role has been added along with the owner. Next, we will add classic storage account contributor. Classic storage account contributor. Again, the name of the application. Select and OK. And the last one, which is just storage account contributor. There it is. Pulse Azure. Select. OK. Great. So as we can see, we have added the roles of owner, reader, classic storage account contributor, and storage account contributor. The configuration steps for the Microsoft Azure account is complete. Let's go back to Pulse and complete the integration. Please click on Settings, click on Azure, Add New, select the icon. We can give it any name, so let's just call it Pulse Azure Integration. And I'm going to keep the description as the same. Now, please refer to your notepad or the place where you have saved all the configuration, including the client ID, tenant ID, and the key. But let's just keep the default as 5 minutes. Okay, testing connection and test connection success. Let me go ahead and submit. Success. So it says that I have successfully integrated with Azure, and we can create our own dashboard tabs, basically customize it, which is one of the great features of TrueSight Pulse. and it says, would you like to go to view your dashboards now? Let's hit yes. And as you can see, these are the dashboards that are already created. There you go. So thanks for watching. For more information about TrueSight Pulse and other products BMC offers, please visit www.bmc.com/TrueSight Pulse. Thank you.